It seems like you're going out of your way to say, look, Labour Party members are all a bunch of extremists.
Well, what we're trying to do, what we're doing today is shining a spotlight on the extent to which the Labour Party has shifted from being a mainstream social democratic centre-left organisation into something completely different under Jeremy Corbyn's leadership. And I think you look at these figures, you're completely right to read those out. But I mean, another one of the findings in the polls shows that just 15% of Labour Party members are proud of Britain's history, and almost 3 times as many are ashamed. More Labour Party members now blame the British government and our brave armed forces than blame the IRA for the atrocities in the Troubles. And a majority of Labour Party members blame either the media or Jeremy Corbyn's political opponents.
Do you really believe
for the allegations
that?
of anti-Semitism.
Do you really believe that? I mean, I know that you talk a lot about the Labour Party that you joined being unrecognisable, and I understand your view, and also I understand your views and your passion on the issue of anti-Semitism, and I perfectly understand that, and I respect that, and it is a problem, and it's a problem that Tom Watson and others have been highly critical of, Jess Phillips and the like. But do you really believe that the majority of Labour Party members do not take pride in Britain, that they are embarrassed about the national anthem, that they are siding more towards the IRA than the British government? Do you really believe that? And do you really think it's helpful to put a poll out like that?
Well, if you'd let me answer, it's quite a long question. Look, it's a representative sample conducted by YouGov. They use the same sample for all their polls of Labour Party opinion, and YouGov predicted the last 3 leadership elections in the Labour Party using the same sample completely accurately. Now, look, don't shoot the messenger, right? Don't shoot the messenger. It's inconceivable that you would have got findings like this under any other previous Labour leader. Inconceivable. What's happened is that the vast majority of Labour Party members, 8 out of 10 Labour Party members, have joined to support Jeremy Corbyn's leadership. This is a completely different party, a million miles away from the decent, mainstream social democratic party that I and many others joined. I think it has been poisoned by extremism and racism under Jeremy Corbyn's leadership. And it's not good enough, I'm afraid to say simply, well, people have argued about anti-Semitism. What is the party doing about it? This is a scandal of racism which has alienated the vast, vast majority of Jewish people in our country. And the Labour Party is not taking it nearly seriously at all. In fact, if anything, Jeremy Corbyn is more angry with the people complaining about racism than with the people responsible for it.
Okay, but here's my question to you. You're currently down in Brighton, if I'm correct. Yep. You're no longer a Labour Party member. Yep. Are you just there to just wind Labour Party members up by standing outside?
No,
and here's my. Let me just finish my question to you. Sure. Okay. Why, if you love the Labour Party so much, which I actually believe that you do, and you do care about the Labour Party, why did you leave it? People like Tom Watson, who love and care for the Labour Party, Jess Phillips has spoken against her own party and the way anti-Semitism has been dealt with. But if you ask them, they have stayed the course. They're staying in their party to fix their party. By leaving it and shouting from the sidelines, you're achieving nothing.
Well, I'm here in Brighton today to shine a spotlight on the disgrace the Labour Party has become under Jeremy Corbyn's leadership. And it's all well and good to say people said to me, and you've got to stay and fight. I said, where's the fight? Where's the fight? In the end, too many people are going along with this. They're silent, and they're not opposing the racism and the extremism that is poisoning the Labour Party. And in the end, Labour MPs, decent Labour MPs, friends of mine, they're going to have to decide, are they really going to knock on people's doors and tell them that Jeremy Corbyn's fit to lead our country? I knew I could never do that. That's why I left the Labour Party, and that's why I set this campaign up today. And I want to see the Labour Party return to mainstream political values. And our campaign will be opposing extremism wherever we find it, on the far right or on the hard left. That's what we're going to be doing. So this isn't, of course, we're not here to wind people up. We're here to demand a return to mainstream values that I was so proud of the Labour Party when I was a member of, and I'm so heartbroken to see it poisoned by extremism now.
But you do realise that going to the Labour Party conference as an independent with a poll, waving a poll in the front cover of the Sunday Times that you commissioned, saying that actually the majority of your members are not proud of Britain and would side with the IRA over the British government, and all the other things that poll has come out, that's not going to win you any friends or win you any people who actually agree with you and want to fix the Labour Party. You realise that that's not the way to get people on your side.
Well, look, if Jeremy Corbyn and the people running the Labour Party are unhappy with these results, they need to challenge these views, and they need to return the Labour Party to decency and to mainstream values.
You have the views of 1,000 people for a membership of 500,000.
Well, it's a representative sample of Labour Party members, and it's the same sample that YouGov used to predict accurately the last three Labour leadership elections. Look, don't shoot the messenger. This is a reputable poll. This is what Labour Party members themselves have said. This is what happens when a political party is taken over by somebody like Jeremy Corbyn, who doesn't just tolerate racism against Jewish people, but has said and done things himself which are racist. This is someone in Jeremy Corbyn who has spent his entire time in politics working with and defending all sorts of extremists, and in some cases terrorists and anti-Semites.
Jeremy Corbyn is not here to defend himself, and it's important to state that Labour have rebuffed some of your accusations. But here's a question for you.
I've made these points many times in articles and in front of Jeremy Corbyn in the House of Commons.
Yes, I have seen you do so, as much to the displeasure of the people sitting right next to you in the Labour pensions. But here's a question.
If I may say so, it's quite appropriate that we're here in Brighton, because just down the road from where I'm speaking to you now is the Grand Hotel, which was bombed by the IRA during a Conservative Party conference.
We get the message, but here's a question for you. Will you be going up to Manchester the following week for the Conservative Party conference to complain about the huge levels of Islamophobia and extremism in the Conservative Party membership? Not long ago, another YouGov poll came out where Conservative Party members felt that they didn't want to see any more Muslim faces in positions of power. They felt that they could throw Northern Ireland under a bus if they got the Brexit deal out of the way. The BBC have actually put forward certain names of Conservative Party councillors accused of Islamophobia. There is extremism in the Conservative Party. So are mainstream NRU going to be out there fighting against extremism in the Conservative membership? I'm hoping the answer to that is going to be a big fat yes.
We'll be fighting extremism.
Will you be there?
Hold on, just let me answer your question. We'll be fighting extremism wherever we find it. I'm not going to sort of announce the next steps of our campaign here today. But I will just say to you this: look, of course, if there's Islamophobia in the Tory Party, that's got to be dealt with. I think they kicked some people out on Friday, and of course, the Tory Party have got to deal with this. There's no question at all about that.
Will you be there Will you be there running the same campaign you're running today against extremism for the Conservative Party?
Well, we'll be publishing our campaign plans in due course. We're just setting up this thing today. Today here in Brighton, we're launching this campaign, and we'll be getting this off the ground. But look, I just want to say to you, it's a really false equivalence, this. Anti-Semitism in the Labour Party is institutional now. The Labour Party is the first political party in history to be subject to a full investigation by the Equality and Human Rights Commission. Labour Party members have been arrested on suspicion of racial hatred.
Sure.
The leader of the Labour Party himself... Hold on. It's a really important point, this. The leader of the Labour Party himself has said and done things which are racist.
Well, excuse me, Mr. Austin, that is your view and your opinion. Jeremy Corbyn is not here to defend himself. And no, I'm not going to allow you to sit here and talk about something completely different to what I asked you to. My question was very, very simple. You do realize that if people only see you out, you claim that you want to set up mainstream, which you have set up with cross-party. No, you have set up mainstream with cross-party support to campaign against extremism, which is a very noble and correct thing to do, especially the way our politics are taking shape today. We do need to avoid that the extremism infiltrating both parties. But you do realise if people see you only attacking Labour for their problems with extremism, whether it be anti-Semitism or far-left views, and see you keep quiet at the Conservative Party conference and say nothing about the Islamophobia on the Conservative Party, you do realise that undermines your campaign.
Well, firstly, I said to you that we'll be campaigning against extremism and racism wherever we find it.
Good.
Secondly, I said to you that, of course, the Tories have got to deal with Islamophobia. So it's not as if I've said nothing about this at all. All I've said to you is that we're not going to be publishing our campaign plans for the next few weeks today. We're launching this campaign here in Brighton. And let me just say this, Frank. I think it's a really important point. I joined the Labour Party as a teenager to fight racism. I could not believe that I've left the Labour Party to fight racism too. I think the Labour Party should be held to much better standards than the Conservative Party on these issues. And it's not good enough to say, oh, well, there's a problem in the Labour Party, but there's a problem in the Conservative.
Why should the Labour Party be held to a higher account than the Conservatives? Racism shouldn't be tolerated in either party.
Right. Well, racism shouldn't be tolerated anywhere, but many, many people join the Labour Party to fight racism, and they expect the Labour Party to be better than the Conservatives when it comes to these issues. That's the point that I'm trying to make to you. They expect the Labour Party to be better than the Tories on this. That's why they joined the Labour Party. The Labour Party's got a proud history throughout its entire time of existence in standing up for equality and fighting racism, and it is a scandal and a tragedy that it's been poisoned by racism under Jeremy Corbyn to the extent that the vast, vast majority of Jewish people who traditionally supported the Labour Party in large numbers feel so alienated from it. And I don't think it's good enough to say, oh, well, look, there's some problems with Islamophobia in the Tory party as well. It's not good enough.